So in this video, I want to go through the process of searching for a mockup, a Photoshop mockup, some different resources that you can go to, free versus paid mockups, the advantages. I then want to I'm going to download a few mockups and show you how to open them and then place your work in them. The purpose of a mockup is to show what your work may look like in an environment or in context. Let's go ahead and get started. So I have Google open, and I have a couple of files already open in the background, and the first one's going to be a poster. So to search for a mockup, you just want to type in what you're looking for. So I'm looking for a poster mockup, and I'm specifically looking for a PSD mockup. And I've noticed it really doesn't matter how you search this, just as long as you have all the keywords in Google, in the Google search engine. So as you can see, we have a bunch of images that we can look through. Sometimes I like to go into images and look at the mockups that way, because I can instantly kind of see what I'm getting. Let's come down to this 20 free Photoshop templates to mock up your poster design, or 48 plus free mockup Photoshop design templates 2020. So let's try that one. Now, there's a chance that not all of these are free, that they just kind of gather them, and maybe at one point they were free. And I can start going through and looking at this. So while I kind of peruse through the different mockups they have and see if there's one that I want to download, let's talk about the difference between free and paid mockups. So normally with a free mockup, you're only going to get one image. So if I'm looking at this interior design one with this the face, that's probably the only angle I'm going to get. Or only type of lighting situation or anything like that I'm going to get. I may not have an option to change the background color. I may not have the option to change the framing. I might just have just one standard mockup that I'm downloading. Now, there are exceptions to that rule. There always are. But for the most part, there's usually fewer options. So I'm going to go and look at this one right here. That's kind of a sign in the mall. And I'm going to go ahead and click on that once. We look here, we'll see that if I zoom in here a little bit, we'll see that we're getting a Photoshop file. It's 2900 by 2100 pixels, and the total size is 32.6 megabytes. So you're most likely downloading, even though it says a PSD file, you might be downloading a zip file. So I clicked on the button, and I'm getting this redirection. So I'm going to go ahead and hit download. And again, I'm going to be asked to wait. And then it pops up and it asks me where I want to save this. I'm just going to hit save. So indoor advertising, I'll double click on that zip file. Okay, so we have the folder and we have our PSD, and we'll be opening that up in a little bit. But before we do that, I want to also clear that. I want to show you Creative Market. In Creative Market, you can go and you can buy a number of things. I've primarily bought fonts and the occasional mockup off of Creative Market. So if I would go in here, and this time I'm not gonna buy anything, but I want to kind of show you the variety. I'm going to type in a poster mockup again, and select the poster mockup PSD file. And then we're going to kind of just look and see what we get to kind of show you what the difference is. And they can get expensive. Like this one's $69. But as you can see, you're getting 358 poster mockups. That's a pretty awesome deal. You also notice here that there's one for 16 for 50 poster mockups. You don't always have to buy the bundles, but they're certainly there. So another advantage to purchasing mockups versus always counting on the free ones is the ability to have some uniqueness in your work. If you always use the free versions, there's more likely a chance that somebody else is going to use it as well. So here's a urban poster walls. You can see that there's a personal and commercial license. I would highly recommend that you go in and read what the limitations of the personal license is before you go and purchase it. My guess is if you're making money off of using their mockups, you're going to want to have the protection of the commercial license. This could be, if I'm presenting this to a client or anything like that, I'm going to want to have, there is a potential that that somebody could see that as you're making money off of it. But as you can see here, just scrolling through, I just clicked on the main image. You can see all the different mockups that we have. And these are urban posters, so they're ripped, they're grungy. So you want to take that into account too. Is this going to be the place or the environment where your final design is actually going to live? So if you're doing like a music festival, maybe even a film festival, say maybe a band, a poster, or something like that, this may be the ideal type of mock-up that you want. But if you're doing something that's maybe for a corporate client, they may not have wheat pasted posters that are half ripped off the wall. So you may want to go back and look for another template. So if we kind of came up to the top here, and you can let's change our price range and go to $2 to $19 and see if we don't get a better selection of posters. So here's one for $3. I'm gonna click on that and then look into it to see what we get. You get to see how high res it is. This is actually a really pretty mock-up. So again, you can customize, which you should be able to do, and to be honest, in all mock-ups. And then a lot of the ones on Creative Market do have how-to videos or instructions on how to properly use the mock-up. So that's always good. So that's the difference between you can start to see the difference between free and paid. But again, if you really take some time to search through the free options, you can find some really quality free mockups. So if we go back to Google, or we try to get back to Google here, I want to do another search for, and you're just gonna go in and do like logo window mockup. So like this one, I might go in and look at just images to see something I like. So I can just quickly glance over more images. But let's take a look at this sign. Now, a lot of these are going to be on Pinterest, possibly. And if you do get one from Pinterest, you can just click on the link that's in Pinterest, and it's going to open multiple tabs. It can't find the file, which is a disadvantage of sometimes searching through the links or the images. So let's go here, and I think Mockup World is going to, nope, this is free. So we'll go ahead and download this one as well. See how long this takes. Okay, great. We're going to go ahead and download it. It's showing some detail shots, which is awesome. I'm going to go ahead and hit download. Wait another 3 seconds. Again, we're on Graphic Burger, so you can see that if you go to graphicburger.com, that is going to be a good site to find some decent mockups, it looks like. I'm going to do save. They also do have paid through some premium options as well, so they have free and premium. I was going to look at this one because I kind of like what this looks like, where I can have my logo on the side of a poster or something like that. That's really neat. And the texture is really great. So it looks like that finished downloading. So I'm going to click on my magnifying glass, and I'm going to double click on the file and unzip it. And if we come in here, I have this mockup again. So I'm going to go ahead and open both these mockups up. I already have Photoshop open. I'm going to open that one up, and then it has jumped over to Photoshop, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to open up my poster. And so now I have these two files. So the next thing I have to do is I have to get my artwork into Photoshop. So I'm going to do it two different ways for you. So I'm going to go to File and Open, which is Command O or Control O on a PC. And then in the dialog box, I'm just going to go to my desktop. So I'm going to click on the Mogadishu Mile poster PDF and just open that in Photoshop. Zoom back out. It's going to give me this import PDF dialog box. I'm just going to double check that everything looks correct and click OK. And we'll walk through this one before we jump into the window signage, because that's going to be a different process of bringing things into Photoshop. So the bigger the PDF, this is about a 48 megabyte PDF, the longer it may take. So let's come back into our mockup file, and let's go over. And if you don't have it open, you want to go to your layers panel. And if that's not showing up on the right hand side, you want to go up to window and just come down to layers. And that's going to pop that open. And you're going to notice several layers that you have. You have the very bottom layer is BG, that stands for background. You have all the effects that are applied. You'll see this layer here that has this icon in the lower right hand corner. This is called a smart object. And that's what we're going to double click on to change our artwork. And then you have a black and white adjustment layer on top. And in the effects, you can go in and you can see some of the shading and stuff that they've gone through. Most mockups have the layer that you're going to change highlighted or colored in a certain way. So that's something to keep in mind. Or it says your design here or something like that. But you're going to look for the smart object. So if we zoom back out and we double click on that smart object, what it's going to do is it's going to open up a new file. And it's a PSB file. And this is where we're going to put our artwork. This is where we're going to change how this mockup appears. So if I go into my PDF file, and I'm just going to do a Command A or Control A on a PC to select everything, and then a Command C or a Control C on the PC to copy it. I'm going to go into my layer 1.psb. I'm going to go Edit Paste. This is Command V on a Mac or Control V as in Victor on a PC. And you can see my artwork has come in massively large. So I'm going to hit Command T as in Tom. You can also go up to Edit and do a free transform. I'm going to zoom out. I'm hitting Command minus or Control minus on a PC. If you're using Photoshop for the first time and you go to scale something proportionately, you do not have to hold down the Shift key. If you're a more seasoned designer or you've been working in Photoshop for a while, you will have noticed that in Photoshop, the newest versions of Photoshop, they have changed the method in which you scale things proportionately. You used to have to hold down Shift. Now you do not. I have it set up where I'm using Legacy Free Transform, so I have to hold down Shift. If it's different in your Photoshop, which it very well may be, that is why. But I'm holding down Shift and I am scaling. I'm going to scale this until it fits the width, and then I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to zoom in by hitting Command plus or Control plus on a PC. I'm going to come in, and you can see that my poster doesn't quite fit when it's scaled, so I'm going to go ahead and scale it all the way down. And then center it. And then double click on it, which is going to place it. And now I'm going to use a very cool function in Photoshop. And I'm going to come over here, I'm going to get my rectangular marquee tool. And on the layer 1 that I just added, I'm going to select over the area that is missing. I'm going to marquee over it. And then I'm going to go up to Edit. And I'm going to come down to Content Aware Fill. And I'm going to click on that. We're going to see over here what it's going to do. So it's zoomed into the area, and you can see that it has gone in and it has figured out what needs to go into this area by sampling the image around it. And I just got to make sure that that's what I want and click OK. And then I'm going to marquee on the right hand side of the poster and do Edit Content Aware Fill. I'm going to pop up this little side window again. I'm going to double check, and I'm happy with that. Click OK. I'm gonna deselect, and I'm gonna go hit Command D or Control D on a PC. And then at this point, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make sure it's centered, which I think it is, and I'm gonna go ahead and hit and save the file. So Command S on a Mac and Control S on a PC. And at this point, I can go ahead and close this file, and I'm gonna jump back into my poster mockup. And as you can see, there's my poster, and my poster is living in the environment. And with this mockup, that's all you can do. Like I said, some mockups will allow you to change the lighting or adjust the lighting. So at this point, I'm going to do a file save as, and I'm going to save this as, Moog Mile poster. And I'm going to save it as a PSD file someplace else. Just on my desktop will work fine for now. So I'm saving a copy, basically, and then I'm going to come in and I'm going to do a I'm going to check my image size. So I'm going to go to image size. And if I zoom in here, you'll see that it's 40 by 29 at 72 pixels per inch. So this would not be a quality that we could print, especially at 40 by 29. So what we want to do with resample unchecked, we want to change our resolution to 300. Which brings it down to a 9 by 7 inch image at 300 pixels per inch, and go ahead and click OK. This is also going to reduce our size a little bit. And then I'm going to go in and I'm going to, I guess I can export as or save as. I would save this probably as a JPEG or something like that, and just save it down. And make sure that in my JPEG options, I'm doing a maximum file. And I'm just going to click OK. And now that's saved. So I'm going to go ahead and close that file. I'm not going to save it because I do want it in that larger size. I may, want to print a poster of this where the resolution doesn't have 300 pixels per inch. So I want to have the ability and the flexibility to print at any size at some point in time. And I'm going to go ahead and close that PDF that I had open. So now let's jump into the sign that we have. I'm just going to keep jumping around. So here you can see we're going to go into our layers panel again. You'll see two smart objects and then the background. And you'll notice that the one that we put our design on is highlighted in red. And then it also says your design thumbnail here. So we're going to double click on the layer and we see the signage. I'm going to come over into Illustrator now and I'm going to grab my personal mark. And I'm just going to do a Command or Control C and then come back over into Photoshop. And I haven't changed the color or anything. I might have to do that here in a bit. And then I'm going to hit Command or Control V as in Victor. I'm going to paste it as pixels. And you can see it's kind of small, but I'm going to enlarge it up. And I'm having to hold down Shift. And then to scale from the center, I'm holding down Option or Alt on a PC. I'm going to double click. And I'm going to turn off the placeholder. And I'm going to save this file. Now, instead of closing it like we did last time, I'm going to keep it open because I think I'm going to have to make some changes. And there is the signage. I zoom out a little bit. And that's kind of cool. That looks good. I thought I was going to have to make some changes in there. So that's my logo. If we come back here, I also have some icons open. And say I want to take like my Texas icon. I'm just going to copy it real quick and make it white. And I'm going to copy it again. And I'm going to come over into Photoshop and I'm in this layered file again. Again, it is super small. That's because I have it sized small in Illustrator. I'm going to double click on it. If you're not comfortable eyeballing stuff, I go up, I click these three dots to make sure it says align to canvas. And then I can align it center and center horizontal. It didn't move, so let me move it so you can see what it's doing. And I'm going to click that button so it will snap it to the center, the approximate center. And there we go. And I'm going to go ahead and hit save. I'm going to come back into my Photoshop file and you can see that it's updated it. And this is kind of neat because it kind of looks like vinyl on glass, which is cool. I might move it to the right or to the left. Here I go getting my directions mixed up. On my left a little bit. and I just need to save it again. So I'm just doing Command or Control S, or you can go to File, Save. And then I'm going to come over into my Photoshop document, and it has shifted it left. So I would go again, I would do a Save As, so File, Save As. That's Shift Command S on a Mac or Shift Control S on a PC. I'm going to click on my desktop, and I'm going to just call this Texas Vinyl. Vinyl is always a fun word to think that you know that you're spelling correctly. I'm going to save a Photoshop file of it. So that's been a really quick run through of how to find mockups and then how to utilize them. It's a fairly simple process. I think the majority of the time goes into locating the perfect mockup. So really doing your due diligence on Google to search through various mockups, not going with the first link or the first mockup, going through and looking through the paid options as well. We looked at Creative Market, Graphic Burger. There's a fantastic site called yellowimages.com. Hopefully you guys have found this helpful. Thank you for your time and have a wonderful evening.